What started as a simple record deal, rejection in Memphis turned into a deadly chain of events that shook the city to its core. Young Dolph, a self-made rap icon, was gunned down in broad daylight at his favorite bakery, leaving the streets asking one question: who really pulled the trigger? While bullets ended a life, silence spoke even louder. Yo Gotti's quiet reaction, his brother's alleged involvement, and the unanswered questions behind this infamous beef make this story more dangerous and shocking than anyone could imagine. The truth behind Memphis' most notorious rap rivalry is darker, deeper, and far from over. TMZ just reported that the LAPD has been keeping a close eye on you in connection with the Young Dolph shooting. On the surface, it might look like one argument at home, but anyone who knows real street politics understands that these situations don't just happen randomly. According to a key witness, the tension actually started deep within Dolph's own circle. Who had a hit on whom? The details are wild, but now the cops are starting to piece it all together. In this story, we're diving into Yo Gotti's reaction to his sentence and the beef that shook Memphis to its core. This is Memphis, Tennessee, the same city that gave us legends like 3 6 Mafia and the raw Southern trap sound. Two major players stood at the center of a conflict that would turn deadly: Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. This isn't your usual rap rivalry. It's a story of pride, loyalty, street politics, and consequences that left real damage in its wake. To truly understand what went down on that tragic November day in 2021, we have to go all the way back to 2014. That's when Young Dolph, born Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., was grinding independently, building his name from scratch without relying on anyone else. He bet on himself and created his own empire, Paper Route Empire move that would ignite one of hip-hop's most dangerous rivalries. Yo Gotti, already established in the Memphis rap scene, saw potential in Dolph and tried to bring him into his CMG collective. For most up-and-coming artists, getting that kind of endorsement from a Memphis OG would be a dream, but Dolph wasn't built that way. He had his own vision, his own movement, and he wasn't about to compromise it for anyone. When Dolph turned down CMG telling Gotti he was good running his own bag, things in the Memphis streets shifted. What started as a business decision began escalating into real street conflict. By February 2016, tensions were undeniable. Dolph dropped his debut album, King of Memphis, a clear challenge to Yo Gotti's self-proclaimed title. The album hit number 49 on the Billboard 200, proving he didn't need CMG to succeed. From Dolph's perspective, this was bigger than just business. In interviews, he described his first meeting with Gotti as a major red flag. Gotti allegedly tried to downplay his own artists, Zilla and Starito, to persuade Dolph to join. To Dolph, that was straight-up snake behavior, a clear sign of the loyalty he could expect if he joined CMG. From 2016 into 2017, the tension grew from subtle shots to outright war. CMG's Black Youngsta started releasing diss tracks aimed at Dolph, even filming videos showing up with guns in Dolph's South Memphis neighborhood. By February 2017, Dolph made his stance loud and clear with Play with Yo Gotti, directly calling out Yo Gotti. The retaliation came quickly. Yo Gotti responded with Don't Beef With Me, featuring Black Youngsta, but by this point, it was no longer about music. On February 25, 2017, Dolph survived a brazen attack in Charlotte, North Carolina, where over 100 rounds hit his SUV during CIA weekend. Thanks to bulletproof panels, he survived, but the warning was clear. Black Youngsta faced charges for connection to the shooting, but they didn't hold up. Then in September 2017, another hit came in Los Angeles, outside the Loews Hollywood Hotel, leaving Dolph critically injured and rushed to emergency surgery. This story isn't just about rap beef. It's about pride, power, and survival in the streets of Memphis. The fact that Yo Gotti was seen at the same hotel as Young Dolph got everyone talking, even though he was never charged and the police admitted they had no evidence linking him to the attack. Dolph's response, though, classic gangster energy. He turned his near-death experience into a statement, dropping the album Bulletproof with the track 100 Shots, basically saying, "You can't take me out that easily." But behind the bravado and tough talk, everyone knew the truth. This beef had gone way beyond music. It was now about real-life danger. Still, publicly, both rappers tried to play it cool. In a 2017 interview on The Breakfast Club, Yo Gotti acted like it wasn't a big deal. He insisted he and Dolph never argued, never exchanged money, and that he was just trying to guide the younger rapper. According to him, he was helping, offering advice, letting Dolph perform on his shows, and showing him how the business worked. Yo Gotti, painted himself as a mentor whose feelings were bruised when Dolph declined his offer, but the pit shootings and violent incidents told a very different story. Behind the public facade, the tension was real. Dolph knew the truth. Yo Gotti had been texting him constantly for years, asking about projects and offering collaboration, all while the streets were buzzing with danger. Despite the attempts to make it seem like business was all cordial, the relationship remained toxic. Dolph stayed independent, building Paper Route empire from the ground up and achieving massive success without a major label. His 2020 album Rich Slave peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200, proving he made the right choice, staying solo. By 2020, things seemed quieter. The pandemic slowed down the chaos in Memphis, and both artists focused on their music and labels. CMG was thriving with stars like Moneybagg Yo, while Paper Route empire grew with Key Glock stepping up as a serious player. But beneath this calm, the original issues that started the beef were never truly resolved. The smoke that lit Memphis years earlier was still there, just waiting for the right spark. The question of who really ran Memphis, the personal grudges, and the violent incidents, it was all unresolved. Nothing had been forgiven. The tension in the streets was like a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. Tragically, that spark came on a November afternoon in 2021, changing everything forever. November 17, 2021. Started like any other Wednesday in Memphis. The sun was out, people were going about their day, and Young Dolph had returned to his hometown for a good cause, a turkey giveaway to give back to the community. This was the kind of real street move that earned Dolph respect. Even with his success, he never forgot the people who had supported him from day one. Around midday, he stopped at Makita's Homemade Butter Cookies, a local black-owned bakery on Airways Boulevard. This was one of his favorite spots, a place he regularly promoted on social media and visited to support local business while grabbing some sweets. It should have been a normal, safe stop, but surveillance cameras captured what happened next. And it was pure horror. A white Mercedes-Benz pulled up. 2 masked shooters jumped out, armed with automatic weapons, and opened fire on Dolph right there in broad daylight, in front of a business he loved. Court testimony later revealed chilling details of those final moments. Cornelius Smith, one of the shooters who eventually turned state witness, described the attack. He shot through the glass, didn't get close, and fired at Dolph as he stood near the window. The autopsy laid out the brutal reality. Young Dolph was hit at least 22 times. Shots struck his back, head, neck, chin, torso, and arms. The medical examiner documented 6 entrance wounds in his back, 3 exit wounds in his chest and stomach, and numerous other injuries. The shooters fired from multiple angles, in what was described as an execution-style attack. But there was another remarkable detail from the surveillance footage. Young Dolph's brother, Marcus Thornton, was there. When the shots rang out, Marcus didn't panic. He returned fire, defending his brother like a true soldier. Marcus managed to hit both shooters, including Cornelius Smith, in the arm and back. Despite his bravery, it was too late. Young Dolph was killed on the spot at just 36 years old. The news hit Memphis and the hip-hop world like a tidal wave. Fans, artists, and fellow rappers flooded social media with shock and grief. Makita's Cookies became an impromptu memorial, with flowers, candles, and messages piling up outside like a shrine. The bakery eventually closed permanently, unable to continue at the site of such a tragic event. Even as Memphis mourned, the streets were buzzing with questions. Who did this, and why? The police moved fast, using cell phone records, surveillance footage, and witness statements to piece together the attack. They identified the shooters as Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, and Cornelius Smith. The white Mercedes they used was traced to a location connected to Hernandez Govan, who authorities said orchestrated the hit. By January 2022, Johnson, Smith, and Govan were all in custody. The investigation uncovered chilling details about the planning and money behind the murder, but the most explosive allegations came later. In the trial that began in September 2024, prosecutors revealed that Anthony Big Juke Mims, Yo Gotti's blood brother and a major CMG player, allegedly offered a $100,000 bounty on Young Dolph. Smith testified that the shooters were promised $40,000 each, with Govan taking a $10,000 cut for setting it up. The alleged motive, it all tied back to the long-running beef between CMG and Paper Route empire. Big Juke reportedly offered the hit to secure Justin Johnson's signing to CMG. In September 2024, Justin Johnson was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Cell phone records placed him at the scene. surveillance footage matched his clothing to the shooters, and the jury found the evidence overwhelming. Johnson was convicted of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. Cornelius Smith had struck a plea deal and testified in exchange for leniency. His account gave the most detailed view of what happened that day and Big Juke's alleged involvement. Shockingly, Smith only received $800 of the promised $40,000 for his role in the murder that shook the nation. Hernandez Govin's trial came later in August 2025 and ended with a surprising verdict: not guilty on all charges. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours before acquitting him. Defense attorney Manny Aurora successfully argued that the prosecution relied too heavily on circumstantial evidence and Smith's testimony, which was motivated by his plea deal. The acquittal left many in the hip-hop community frustrated, feeling justice was left unfinished. If Hernandez Govin didn't orchestrate Young Dolph's murder, then who did? How high did this conspiracy really go? And what about all the allegations involving Big Juke? Tragically, Anthony Big Juke Mims would never get a chance to answer those questions. On January 13, 2024, just over 2 years after Young Dolph was killed, Big Juke himself was gunned down outside a Memphis restaurant during a funeral repast for another family member. The killing was described as a shooters pulled up in a white Ford Explorer and opened fire. His last Instagram post was chillingly prophetic. They don't want to face you. They want to snake you. Stay alert. Stay alive. Watch your back at all times. No one has been charged in Big Juke's murder, though speculation in the streets suggests it was revenge for Young Dolph's death. The cycle of violence that began with a rap beef had claimed yet another life, and it seemed like it might never end. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti found himself in a complicated position. The same man who had once been named in connection to the 2017 shootings but never charged, was now facing questions about whether his own brother had allegedly put out a hit that ended in murder. What's notable is what Yo Gotti didn't say. He has made no public statements about Young Dolph's death or the allegations involving Big Juke. When reporters asked CMG for comment during the trial, they declined. Yo Gotti himself has remained completely silent on social media about the murder, the trial, or his brother's alleged role. It's striking when you compare this silence to his previous public comments. Remember the 2017 Breakfast Club interview, where he insisted there was no real beef with Dolph? Now, faced with accusations hitting much closer to home, he's completely radio silent. Big Juke's own actions have also raised questions. While there's no verified footage of him directly addressing Young Dolph's death, some social media clips show him making provocative statements on Instagram Live. His words, combined with trial testimony about the alleged $100,000 bounty, painted a disturbing picture. Whether or not Yo Gotti had any knowledge of a plot, his brother allegedly played a central role in murdering his longtime rival. Yo Gotti's silence has left much of the hip-hop community frustrated and suspicious. It's important to note that Yo Gotti himself has never been charged in connection to Young Dolph's murder. There's no public evidence tying him directly to the attack or suggesting he knew it was coming. The allegations center solely on Big Juke, and with Big Juke now dead, the full truth may never come out. But in the streets, where respect and reputation matter more than legal rulings, Yo Gotti's silence speaks louder than any diss track ever could. In October 2024, rapper Wack 100 sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world by warning that Yo Gotti could be next in handcuffs, hinting that CMG might even be classified as a gang if charges came through. While no legal action has materialized, the speculation alone has already taken a toll on Gotti's street reputations, something no amount of beef or competition could ever match. CMG as a label hasn't collapsed. It's still active, with artists like Glorilla and Moneybagg Yo continuing to find commercial success and chart hits. Yo Gotti himself remains focused on his business empire, announcing new projects like his mixtape, Mr. 14 Months, scheduled for August 2025. But there's no denying the shadow of Young Dolph's murder still looms over everything CMG does, shaping how the public and the streets perceive the label and everyone associated with it. Tragically, the violence didn't end with Young Dolph or Big Juke. Memphis has seen a cycle of retaliatory killings that many believe are connected to the broader CMG paper route empire rivalry. While not all of these claims have been proven in court, the deaths are undeniable. Ladakashtisto Hernandez, Govin's daughter, was shot in September 2022. Joshua Taylor, known as CEOCA and a person of interest in the Dolph case, was found dead in June 2023. and the brother of Black Youngsta was killed at a gas station in August 2023. Glock has been vocal about honoring Dolph's name and brand, even while navigating grief and the complex Memphis rap scene. In March 2022, he released the tribute album, Long Live Young Dolph, featuring the single Proud, which became his first entry on the Billboard Hot 100. The song celebrated Dolph's legacy while expressing the raw pain felt by everyone who loved him. A tribute the streets noticed, especially compared to Yo Gotti's silence. Young Dolph's family has also worked tirelessly to preserve his memory through philanthropy and community work. His fiancée, Mia J., has advocated for gun violence reform while continuing Dolph's tradition of giving back to Memphis. The city itself honored him by renaming a street, Adolph Young Dolph Thornton Jr. Avenue, ensuring his impact on the city and its people will never be forgotten. Amid all the grief, the memorials, and the heartbreak, one voice has been noticeably absent: Yo Gotti's. No public tribute to a fellow Memphis artist who helped put the city on the map. No condolences to Young Dolph's family. No comment on the serious allegations against his own brother. Just silence, a silence that has left the streets and the hip-hop community drawing their own conclusions about guilt, complicity, and responsibility. Legally, the case has mostly been resolved. Justin Johnson is locked up for life. Cornelius Smith will serve time for his role. Big Juke is dead. Hernandez Govan was acquitted. Beyond that, the bigger questions: how high this conspiracy went. Who knew what and when may never be answered in a court of law. What's clear is this: a beef that started over a rejected record deal in 2014 ultimately cost Young Dolph his life in 2021. The pride, the competition, the fight to be king of Memphis, it all ended in a cookie shop on a Wednesday afternoon. A 36-year-old father of two was gunned down in cold blood. Despite all his success, his platinum plaques, and his impact on the city, Memphis lost a real one. As Yo Gotti once acknowledged in that 2017 Breakfast Club interview, the hip-hop community lost a talented independent artist who proved you could make it to the top without compromising your vision. 2 children lost their father, a fiancée lost her partner, and a whole city lost a benefactor who had never forgotten where he came from, no matter how much money he made. Yo Gotti continues to run CMG, release music, and expand his empire as if none of this happened, but his legacy will always be tied to Young Dolph's death, whether he wants it or not. His silence regarding his brother's alleged involvement has become its own statement, a statement the hip-hop community and the streets have not forgotten, and may never forgive. The beef between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph ended not through reconciliation or respect, but with bullets. And in that cycle of violence, nobody won. Memphis lost 2 sons, Dolph to murder, and Big Juke, likely to retaliation. Families were shattered, lives were cut short, and the music that could have elevated Memphis hip-hop forever was never made. That's the true tragedy, not just the deaths. But what could have been if these two had squashed their beef? Yo Gotti's silence speaks louder than words ever could. By refusing to acknowledge the pain, the loss, and his brother's alleged role, he's letting that silence speak for him, and the streets hear it loud and clear.